Today I'm going to be making a Phrygian helmet. These were particularly common during the Norman period from the 10th, 11th and 12th century. This one in particular is going to be an 11th century one, ready for the Battle of Hastings, upcoming in a few weeks. And without further ado, let's go on with it. Myself and a number of friends are medieval reenactors here in England, and we're on a quest to not only improve the level of quality of medieval armour and general kit in the UK reenactment scene, but also to show a wide plethora of options that medieval soldiers had to choose from low status Spangenhelms for the standard soldier, to high-end ornate helmets reserved only for the upper classes in early medieval society. With just 2 weeks to go until the famous English heritage reenactment of the Battle of Hastings of 1066, I set to work on making a Norman helmet fit for a knight, the class that my friend is portraying for this year's event. Now, first things first, what is a Phrygian helmet, and what does Phrygian actually mean? Jumping back over 1,500 years from the Norman period to the 6th century BC, we see beautifully crafted helmets being worn by soldiers in and around Greece. From what we understand, these were the original Phrygian helmets, and while being beautifully crafted works of art in their own right, their main focus point is the curiously shaped dome of the helmet. This design was copied off fabric caps worn by the people of Phrygia, a civilization which inhabited central western Anatolia in antiquity. But this style of cap can be seen in artwork all over Greece, Italy, Thrace, Macedonia, Turkey, Scythia and even into the Middle East. As the Greek city-states made metal versions of these caps, the various militaries of Athens, Sparta, Larissa, Macedonia, Byzantium and more gradually began using this style of helmet more commonly within their ranks. In fact, none other than Alexander the Great's infantry often used Phrygian helmets during the army's formidable campaign across the Middle East and into Asia. Representations of the Phrygian helmet adorning the heads of the soldiers can be seen in the Alexander sarcophagus. The Phrygian helmet took many forms, some having particularly grand artistic adaptations, such as this 4th century BC example found in southern Italy. But generally they all included the typical forward domed apex, a brim and rudimentary neck protection, with some also including cheek plates and a nasal guard. The Phrygian continued to be in use right into the Hellenistic period, largely replacing the earlier Corinthian style helmet which was also very prevalent in ancient Greece and further afield during this time. But of course, the Battle of Hastings took place in England during the 11th century AD, so how did these Phrygian helmets establish themselves in a very different location in this very different time period? After the birth of the Norman faction in the 9th century AD, they expanded far and wide throughout Europe, reaching as far as Sicily and Constantinople. No doubt already somewhat familiar with these places thanks to their trade routes which had already been established back during the Normans' Nordic heritage. During this time, the Normans began building giant cathedrals and castles, using inspiration from Roman architecture such as the classic Romanesque arches. Not only this, but they were clearly getting inspired by artwork of the antiquity as well, as both the Italo-Normans in Sicily and the Byzantines in Constantinople began recreating their own design of the Phrygian helmet, this time using the more modern nasal helmet as the base. As the Norman Empire began to develop further, these new reimagined helmets found their way back to Normandy just in time for the planned invasion of Anglo-Saxon England. The Norman Phrygian helmets also took multiple forms, as seen from various depictions of soldiers wearing them in artwork. Commonly, the helmet would take the form of a rather straight triangle, sometimes with the apex of the triangle being drawn more forward than symmetrical. Other artwork clearly shows a forward-swept curve, and some show the typical curved dome that we often see in the original Greek helmets. It's also worth pointing out that in some early medieval artwork, we still see multiple examples of headgear which could be interpreted as fabric hats rather than metal helmets, possibly meaning that the original Phrygian cap was still in use almost 2,000 years later in the Norman period. The Normans had access to a variety of head protection, mainly revolving around the generic skull cap or the Spangenhelm, which is a helmet consisting of 2 or 4 segments riveted together with iron or steel bands. The Spangenhelm goes furthest back in time, as variants had existed during the late Roman period and possibly even earlier. Originally, general smithing skills weren't developed enough to work with large sections of metal, so instead 4 small segments could be made and riveted to a headband with a reinforced band going from the front to the back. As the skills of armourers increased across Western Europe, helmets could be made out of 2 halves welded together, or even made from one single piece of steel. For this project, the budget and my personal skill set meant that this helmet would be made out of 2 halves welded together using a modern stick welder. These 1 or 2 piece helmets were then grinded on grinding wheels or hand sanded over hours upon hours of grueling labour to achieve a clean, even surface which could then be polished or blackened, or, in this case, brassed. Luckily, in the modern day we have access to grinding machines and sanding belts to speed up the process, but great attention to detail is still needed to keep the surface clean and even. We know that the Normans had access to brass, and they could have possibly melted the brass onto armour by melting brass wire bristles into heated metal, allowing the brass to transfer onto the metal as it cools. However, this is a bit of experimental archaeology and speculation due to lack of solid evidence for the explanation as to how they did brass work in the 11th century. Again, I'm using a modern electric drill to replicate this process more efficiently. Another alternative to polishing, brassing, or blackening was painting. In recent years, historians now believe that far more helmets in the 11th century may have been painted, rather than polished, as polishing was an exceedingly difficult and time-consuming process, one which surely came with a high price tag. Medieval artwork also shows a variety of colours featured on helmets between the 11th and 13th centuries, a time when the Normans were most prevalent. As such, modern medieval reenactors are beginning to add more splashes of colour to their kit in their attempt to more accurately reflect the artwork in the manuscripts.